Round one for Superlap Scotland at Knockhill Racing Circuit was once again well supported by some very loyal drivers and a new look start to the season. Yes, we start with an anti-clockwise directional meeting here at Knockhill Racing Circuit on the 24th of April under rather nice weather conditions for round number one. So with the cars on track for the first time this year in anger altogether, reverse direction, a new way for us to start the year, and a familiar face of Martin Hutton going through the hairpin in his Peugeot 106, which has seen a lot of investment on it throughout the winter. Interesting to see how he does get on with that little car. It has been supercharged, it does go a lot faster, and this would be Alex Milne coming towards us in the Racing Awareness Scotland car. Alex, not just a competitor, taking Racing Awareness brand to be a sponsor of the series for 2022. Stephen Somerville and his BMW, well, fastest in Class G and also doing the mod sports, but happy to be here as a guest in Class G in his BMW E36 Compact, a 104.914 second lap for Stephen. Simon McWilliam was another man who we have regularly seen at Knockhill Racing Circuit. And Simon, in his little Renault Clio, always puts on a good show and gives it maximum performance. Look at the sparks, though, from Nev Wood in that aerial atom. Another man who has tweaked the car over the winter and tried to find more and more speed out of it. Russ Payton was another man who was here in a very special car from Mack Motorsport, four-wheel drive Seat Leon that Marcin Mucha has been building for quite some time. Tom Lockhart, though, with another new colour scheme for this year, very bright, very dazzling, and a bit of a crowd pleaser, was fastest in F Class. His Renault Clio 172 set a time of 101.392 around Knockhill Racing Circuit, and Tom was a very happy man indeed. Mike Jones in his TCR Honda was brand new to Superlap Scotland, a man who's done track days for many a year and has always thought about doing Superlap Scotland, dipped his toe in, and already has told us that he will continue to do the full season in 2022. Fastest man in Class E was another sponsor. It's Robert Wilkie and his Renault Megane R26. Robert from Strathearn Pest Control has had his mechanical issues over the past couple of years, but the car now going very well, and a 58.491 saw him beat Donny McLeod and Henry Simmons in qualifying. You can see the commitment coming through the top of Duffy's dip there from Robert Wilkie in his little Renault Megane. The R26 perfectly suited to be in Class E and take him to the top of the times. Fastest in Class D was Mike Jones. Mike Jones in that beautiful TCR Honda, which you can hear in the background there. 56.656 for Mike Jones. And he came home to lead Class D ahead of Dave Larg in his trusty, fast Honda Civic. Dave Larg, another man who is threatening good things in 2022, and we look forward to seeing him on track. Andrew Skinner was brand new to SLS, or not brand new, another returning man to SLS. A bit of smoke out the Osborne car, you could see it bottoming out as he plummets down from the chicane, and the big compression before he goes back up Butchers. Michael Osborne Jr., 54 seconds as, yes, a big off for Russ Payton at the end of the main straight. But Osborne Jr. leading Class C over his dad, 54.277, as Russ Payton thankfully gets that car out of the gravel and away back onto the circuit. A little bit too much rear brake for Russ there, as we can see him coming in right in front of Andy Clockworthy in his Subaru Impreza, and his onboard footage would have been pretty spectacular of Russ, but thankfully no harm, no foul, no damage in that incident. Paul Rankin's another man who we have seen compete in Superlap Scotland for many years and also in the Mod Sport series. Paul Rankin fast as ever, but Paul in the Pro class, this was the man who was fastest in Class A. Once again, Craig Nichol with a 53.2 second lap. This man is incredibly fast in this Caterham. Former karter comes with great success in karts, and he's transferring that over onto Knockhill in the big circuit in SLS. And leading Class A there, coming home ahead of Andy Clockworthy in his Subaru Impreza. 53.2 for Nichol, 54.9 for the Impreza of Clockworthy. Russ Payton, well, a bit of smoke coming out the back of that car, but a little bit of gravel coming out as well. But Russ did get into third place in the Pro class. Second place was Nev Wood, and it was Paul Rankin who took the qualifying honours in Pro class. Round 1 anti-clockwise qualifying results sees Paul Rankin take the Pro Class honours and Craig Nicol take Class A. Michael Osborne Jr. beats his father in a family affair for Class C, with Mike Jones ahead of Dave Larg in D. Robert Wilkie, Donny McLeod and Henry Simmons are in E Class, with Tom Lockhart taking home the F Class honours. Stephen Somerville in his BMW fastest man as a guest. So on to the finals for round number 1 of Superlap Scotland, and in Class G, running as a guest, it was Stephen Somerville. Now Stephen is very new to motorsport and he does double up and do our Mod Sport series, but a 103.492 in Superlap saw him take away the guest honours, but also it gave him that valuable track time which he needs on his journey to upgrading his licence. But Stephen, a happy man to be out there in Superlap Scotland and doubled up with the Mod Sports. The more track time you can get at Knockhill, the better you will become, and Stephen is acknowledging that as he comes through the chicane here over both of the curbs. Great sequence of corners as you come through there. Your stomach really does hit the roof and then plummet, and before you know it you arrive at McIntyre's, and from here on in you're flat out all the way up the hill through the top of Duffus. Just seeing how brave you can be. Stephen bouncing over the curbs as he makes it back up to the main street here at Knockhill, underneath the Beatsons Bridge, and takes the checkered flag. On to F Class, Martin Hutton, first man out of the traps in the trusty Peugeot 106. Again, Martin driving it within an inch of its and his life as he comes onto the straight. Martin clocked a 105.635 to put himself 6th. Andrew Fahey, one of Racing Awareness Scotland's drivers in the Renault Megane, car number 56, Andrew Fahey managed a 104.337 lap for another man who is entering his second year as Superlap Scotland. Liking the competitive side of it, and Racing Awareness Scotland very much looking after him, bringing him home in 5th place. 4th place, 59, Simon McWilliam, Renault Clio 172 Cup. Big lock up into the chicane for Simon, and he wasn't happy at the end of his run, only managing a 103.813 with that big lock up there, costing himself just that little bit of time. In 3rd place, it was another Racing Awareness Scotland driver, 555 of Dave Capstick. Renault Clio RS 172 for Capstick, a 102.644, and like his teammate Andrew Fahey in the Megane, this is David Capstick's second year and really starting to find his feet in that little Renault Clio and getting faster and faster with each event. We look forward to seeing what he can do at the clockwise event in round 2. Steve Sadler was another Racing Awareness Scotland driver in 311, and he was in the Renault Megane F1 spec car. Steve flew in from America just for this event and he managed a 101.995. But taking the victory in Class F, car 716, it was Tom Lockhart in his trusty Renault Clio 172, a 101.539, half a second ahead of Stephen Sadler. That's how close it was in Class F. And you can see Tom's new paint scheme, lights on the car to show that he is on a fast lap. It was a very good, clean, tidy lap for the man who is now a veteran at Superlap Scotland and each year keeps coming back with more speed and new colour schemes. As he went through Leslie's, climbed up the top of Duffus Dip, Tom flat out on the accelerator as he bounced back into our view and headed towards that Beatsons Building Supplies Bridge to take the checkered flag and the Class F honours. The Class E final saw car 86 out for a one-off appearance this year with the for sale sign, Adam Morrison from Inch in Aberdeen. Adam doing a 102.030 put himself 7th in class in his little Mini Cooper S. Just ahead of him, car number 15 was Sean Robertson in a Mini Cooper S. Now Adam did a 102.030, Sean Robertson managing to do a 1 minute .852 in his Mini Cooper S. Sean exploring as many of the track limits as Henry Simmons was, who come home in 4th in his Renault Megane, the RS Megane, and Henry, another of Alex Milne's Racing Awareness Scotland drivers, managing to do a 1 minute .1. The man himself was 3rd in Class E, and that's Alex Milne. He put so much into his drivers and promoting the Racing Awareness Scotland brand that Alex Milne managed to step onto the podium, and that was to the delight of not only Alex, the whole team and the entire paddock. A 1 minute .078 saw him just come behind this fast man here, Synergy Cycles, Donny McLeod. Car number 144 in the Renault Clio 172. Donny with the back wheel pawing there, just running out of road at McIntyre's there into the gravel. Donny did go sub-minute, a 59.017, a very fast lap for the lovable Donny McLeod. But it was this man in Class E who took the honours from qualifying and the race. Robert Wilkie, Renault Megane R26, the Strathearn Pest Control man, managed to clock a 58.629 second lap around Knockhill. And not only did he take the qualifying honours, he walked away with 2 trophies, very happy to head back to Crieff. We look forward to seeing Robert in round number 2, and as we watch him coming through the chicane here, yes, using as much of the track limits as he could get away with without getting a warning or a telling off or a bit of a slap on the wrist from race control. As he come through Leslie's and climbed the hill, all he had to do was one perfect corner and that was it, bouncing back into view, leaving himself plenty of room on the exit of the corner up towards the checkered flag. On to Class D. Well, Andrew Cowie in his Subaru Impreza arrived at Knockhill as a returnee to SLS, and we were delighted to have him back. He managed to clock a 101.056 in his big Subaru, and we look forward to seeing Andrew come back down for round number 2. And he was just managing to come home behind second place. Dave Larg, well, 58.734 was his lap time, and we've seen Dave for many times now get more and more speed every time he arrives in that Honda Civic. Unfortunately though for Dave this time, Mike Jones was in town in his TCR Honda. Mike Jones managed to do a 56.8 second lap, 58.7 for Larg, 56.8 for Jones. And just listen to that car accelerate round towards Clark's. Good few years ago we had the TCR Championship at Knockhill, and Dan Lloyd raced one of these very cars and took a victory at the TCR event. Beautiful sounding car, Mike Jones driving it extremely well, a man who is no stranger to Knockhill from the track they've seen, but has made that all-important step across into competitive motorsport. Why not check out the SLS starter pack for 2022 if you fancy being involved? Into Class C, it was an inter-family battle between dad and lad. In second place, Michael Osborne Sr. 56.577 for number 92, Michael Osborne Sr. Now into their second year of Superlap Scotland. Osborne Motors, a very local garage to the race circuit, and again they're no stranger to the place because they have done track days for quite a few years. But Ozzy himself was fastest, Michael Osborne Jr. 54.663 for Michael Osborne Jr. He gets married this year, he will miss a round, and that might give anybody else who enters Class C that all-important jump because this man is incredibly fast. There is talk of the Mod Sports getting Michael Osborne Jr. over the next couple of events as well, so keep your eyes very much peeled on the entry list to see what happens. As he come through McIntyre's, he knew he'd put a good lap together. All he had to do was get through the top of Duffus, and you can see using all the road and a little bit more, he powered towards the checker flag and Class C honours. Class A, all about Andy Clotworthy versus Craig Nicholl. It was Subaru Impreza against Caterham 7. Andy Clotworthy, the ARC guys who also look after Tom Lockhart in Class F, Andy managed to do a 54.974. He's had a fair few issues over the years, Andy Clotworthy, but when that car is on song, it is incredibly quick. And we've also seen Andy dabble with F-Class cars, possibly a Renault Clio. But taking the Class A honours, it was Craig Nicholl, 53.803 for Craig Nicholl, getting through the hairpin and powering along towards Hislops. The Caterham 7, as ever, sounding great. Very small cockpit area in that car, and Craig Nicol using his small stature just to fit in there and drive that car right up to its potential and limits. As we see him coming through the chicane here, curb 1, curb 2, then down the hill. Try and hold it as flat as you can up towards McIntyre's, then back to the apex. Make sure you hit the apex. Lots of drivers drive in there too quick and miss it. Nicol, though, was on form. Powering up to the line, you could see the checkered flag once he got to the crest of the hill, and he took the Class A honours. On to Pro Class. Third place, surprisingly, was the man who was quickest in qualifying. It was Paul Rankin. He just didn't get it working today. A minute 0.1, a slight miscommunication with the amount of laps, and the warm-up for Paul Rankin saw him come home in third place. Flashing lights, looking the part, our very own Russ Payton for Mack Motorsport in that big Seat Leon. A car which has been put together back home in Dundee by the guys at Mack Motorsport. Well, really, it's testament to the amount of skill they have up there. Marcin will be very happy with how that car turned out. And Russ doing a 58.6 on what effectively was a shakedown. And the man who took the Pro Class honours was car number 10. The aerial atom of Nev Wood. It seems to grow more and more aero every time we see it, and it gets quicker and quicker. Nev managing a 58.371 second lap, and the atom sparks are flying as he goes up towards McIntyre's, and as he come onto the main straight, leaving himself enough room to be safe, he powered towards the checkered flag and the Pro Class honours. Final results for the anti-clockwise round number 1 of Super Lap Scotland here at Knockhill Racing Circuit saw Nev Wood win Pro, Craig Nicol taking the A-Class honours, C-Class went the way of Michael Osborne Jr, and Mike Jones took Class D. Robert Wilkie won Class E in his Renault Megane R26 ahead of Tom Locker in F-Class, winning in his Renault Clio 172, and Stephen Somerville in the BMW E36 Compact, the fastest guest in G.